You have to win the day. That's the goal. Like if you stack enough days as you go through, then you stack weeks stack into months. I love 90-day sprints. I just love them. For me, I know that's about the amount of time that I can commit to something and relentlessly pursue it and then see results to know, okay, do I need to adjust? Where do I go from here? Is that the right number?
The Competitive Edge Podcast, where champions aren't just born, they're made. Hosted by Brian Covey, former pro athlete turned high-performance executive and coach who's mastered the art of staying at the top of the game. He'll bring you trailblazers, industry leaders, and game changers from achieving peak performance to building an unstoppable mindset. The Competitive Edge Podcast is your ultimate guide to rise. So ask yourself, are you ready to find your edge?
Welcome to the Competitive Edge Podcast with your host. That's me, Brian Covey. Excited to kick things off this year. But no matter when you're listening to this, all the things I'm going to share with you today, the 5 ways that you can win more in 2025 are going to be able to help you. I actually believe this show, as I was preparing for it and spending hours, not only looking at my own plan, but people that I work with and coach, and those that are looking to make this year their best year ever. That's you, right? That's who I see on social. Those are the people I connect with. They want this year to be their best year ever. These 5 ways are going to help you attack your year. And I believe some of them you're going to want to revisit as you go through. So grab a pen and paper. We're going to jump right into this because I believe this is the year you can actually take action and create meaningful momentum and a breakthrough in your own life. So the first one I wrote down was mastering time management. And I started here. There's a book, Buy Back Your Time. You've probably seen it by Dan Martell. And there's books out there like Atomic Habits that people talk about your time. Look, I'll be the first one to admit there's seasons in my life, in my career, that my time management is actually what was my Achilles heel. It's what kept me from realizing that I could do more, that I could actually have structure, that I could have freedom in the discipline that we hear Jocko talk about, that we see top performers. And we wonder, how do they get all these things done as they go through? So I'm going to give you a framework that I've shared with people, but I believe it's going to help you as you go through. And it's an easy acronym, RACE. And so we talk about this as review your schedule. On Sunday nights, review your schedule as you come into the week, review what you have on there. And I go deeper in this in some of my other trainings, but you want to look at things that you want to eliminate, delegate, or actually automate, right? And so I look at those things that are on my calendar that maybe shouldn't be on there. Things that I can compress the time from a 30-minute meeting to a 15-minute meeting. Are there things that other team members or someone else that I know are better equipped to actually handle that meeting? So review your calendar, make sure your priorities are scheduled in that order. And so your family time, your health and fitness time, your prospecting time, whatever it is that you need to make sure you get done, review that, make sure it's on your calendar. The next one is aligning. And I referred to that a minute ago, but make sure your calendar's aligned up with what your goals are. Look, if your goals right now in the next 90 days, you're doing a sprint and you say, my health is absolutely it. I have some friends doing 75 hard. The next 75 days, if they don't have a schedule and a commitment to get both of those workouts done and to get everything done that's required, they're not going to finish 75 days. Guarantee you that. So make sure things are aligned up with your priorities, not someone else's. The next one is commit. Man, I can't tell you how many times we see, and you look at New Year's resolution stats, and you've got people that they haven't really committed. And so I'm going to ask you, as you're listening to this, the goals that you've written down on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being you will do whatever it takes, no matter what. How committed are you to each of your goals? If you have them written out on a piece of paper, I would encourage you to write down the number and be honest. Look, I mean, there was one last year. I remember going through with my coach, and we talked about it over and over, and he's like, just don't feel like you're excited about it and what's holding you back. And what it was I wasn't committed to the goal. It wasn't my goal. It was something someone else had shared with me, and it was a cool number. And I started looking at that. I'm like, man, that wasn't my number. And so if you don't feel aligned of it, you're not aligned with that goal, and you don't have a 5 written there. And I would even say some of you might just have a 4 right now. That's your level of commitment. It's going to get you started. But if you start going below that in the 1, 2, and 3s, it's not a goal that you really need to be including in there. You're not committed to it. You're not going to do it. And so then you're going to create this cycle of you didn't do it. Now you're beating yourself up. Let me help you with that. Set that aside. So make sure you're committed to the goals you've written down. Do that exercise and find out where you are today. And the last one is execute. Look, one of my best coaches has shared this with me over and over is you have to win the day. That's the goal. Like if you stack enough days as you go through, then you stack weeks stack into months. I love 90-day sprints. I just love them. For me, I know that's about the amount of time that I can commit to something and relentlessly pursue it and then see results to know, okay, do I need to adjust? Where do I go from here? Is that the right number? Last year I had a body fat goal that I wanted to drop to by July 1. First quarter started slow. Wasn't a lot of momentum. Second quarter, I started to gain momentum. Then I really accelerated that into July to make sure that I got to that number. And then after that, don't miss this. After that, I realized I had more in the tank and I was able to not only drop the 3% originally in body fat, but then I was able to go from that number to drop another 4%. And so as you're looking at your goals, 90 days, win the day. What is required of you to win each day? Do you have a set number of prospects you need to talk to? Set number of applications if you're in the mortgage business? If you're in real estate, showings, customers you talk to, agents that you're working with and partnering with, whatever that might be, look at those. Are you winning your day every day? Because what I know is enough days stacked together, progress over perfection is going to get you closer to that person you're becoming and who you really need to become in Q2 when you accelerate and the goals also continue to move. So look at the RACE framework. Again, it's review, align, commit, and execute. Number 2, we're going to focus on daily discipline. As I talk about this, I want you to think about your mindset towards discipline. We have a discipline equals freedom flag in our garage here in our home gym that we use. And it's a reminder for me because my car is parked in there. We're not using the gym. And years ago, I would fight this, right? And when the book Extreme Ownership came out, there were things I recognized in my own patterns and myself that there are areas I need to increase the ownership and the level of awareness and my discipline. And it wasn't even until last year that I realized this next level discipline that you hear people talk about this. And in my fitness, I thought I was pretty disciplined. Like I was doing the things inside the gym. Outside the gym, not so much. My recovery, my nutrition, my supplements, the way that I was approaching my overall health, doing blood work, doing my genetic test, all these things some of you may have heard me talk about. I wasn't that disciplined. I was disciplined enough to get average results. And thus, that's what I was getting. And so I want you to ask yourself, in your mindset, how disciplined are you on the days that you don't feel like it? You don't want to? Do you have something that's going to actually move you forward to do those things? And last year was a challenge for me. I ended up running 30 days more than I'd run the year before. I ended up getting more miles in and all these things were done, almost 70 more miles. But I look back and I broke it down. I said, you know what? What's interesting is I showed up 30 days more than I did the year before. And I can just about guarantee you, each of those 30 days were probably days that I battled showing up. Hey guys, it's Brian here. I hope you are enjoying the show. By the way, if you're an entrepreneur or a solopreneur looking to grow your personal brand, make a bigger impact, maybe increase your leads and grow your revenue, let's help you get started today by connecting up with my friends over at the Brand Builders Group. You've heard me talk about them, but if you're new here, this is definitely the first step to get you started in turning your reputation into revenue. Head over to freebrandcall.com/Brian Covey. Again, to set up your free brand call, go to freebrandcall.com/Brian Covey to set up a free strategy call with one of the team at Brand Builders, and they will dive into your specific goals for how you want to grow your personal brand. I can't wait to hear how it goes. I remember there were days in the summer. For me, the hardest part is the winter. But there were days in the summer that I would be doing 2-a-days. And I would go and work out. And then later in the day, maybe my kids' soccer practice, instead of watching or just sitting in a chair, I would actually just jog and get a few miles in. And I know there were days. I remember back to them and I'm like, okay, Brian, self-talk. This is a day that you're going to look back on later and be proud of yourself. And so I know there were 30 days at least stacked more than the year before. Are you tracking these things to make sure you're disciplined? I use an InBody to track my fitness and my body fat, all those things that are there. I do regular blood work. Are you tracking things to know how disciplined you are? And for each of us, I do believe there's another level of discipline once you've unlocked the level that you're at, that you need to figure out, now how do I get to that next level? So I invite you to consider that. Number 3, I just alluded to some of this, but your financial health. Look, I thought I was doing all these things and I looked like I was healthy, but I can tell you this is until you're doing regular blood work, until you're doing even things like hormone panels to check out where you are, until you're doing things of reviewing your supplements and your nutrition and tracking your macros and these things that you know what works for you, and you actually have a measurable way to see it. I mentioned the InBody. I also donate blood and I do the blood work, and all these just little simple things along the way are feedback and indicators to know how I feel. But more importantly, the results don't lie in blood tests, in blood work, in your regular exams. So if you aren't doing that today, that could be something you immediately go do. Lots of places to go do that. If you need more information, let me know. Be glad to connect you up with who I use. But you can go and start to do that today. And so in your health and fitness, I've seen it in my own life where my energy was low. I was tired in the afternoons, so much to the point where like 2 or 3 o'clock, all I could think about was I need a nap to recharge or an energy drink, and I'm trying to caffeinate myself through it. If that's you, let me just tell you that is not normal. That is not something that on an everyday basis or consistent basis that you should be feeling that way. So if you want to create a breakthrough in your health and your fitness, those are some ways you can immediately go do that. I add in the workouts that I share online quite a bit, working out at home. I shared with you my running journey. Look, find out what works for you, but be consistent. I love to be challenged and compete. The workouts that pretty much every day, there's a point in which I'm wondering if I can complete it as fast as I thought. I'm wondering if I can even complete some of them. Some of them, I just have that moment where I'm like, what have I got myself into? And you almost want to quit. You look at the clock, or you look and go, I have this many more reps left, or I need to do another set here. You need to challenge yourself so much so that every day, that decision that you make in the middle of that workout or at some point, you're deciding to be great. You're deciding to be elite in your health and fitness. So find those opportunities in your year, in your days right now. Number 4, invest in relationships. I'll give a shout out to a couple of my friends, Ken Jocelyn, Randy Garn, are absolutely phenomenal at this. Surround yourself with people that you actually enjoy being around, that make you smile, make you feel good about yourself. And at the same time, they actually challenge you in areas of your life that they are either honest with their feedback, they bring you into situations that are going to make you better or challenge you. And they are the people that are connectors and relationship builders. Ken says this all the time, but they want more for you than from you. And so this year, if you're not going to any masterminds, events, places that you can get around these type of people, look for some of the events that I'm speaking at, look for some online. I'll be happy to help you like navigate through the ones that are fluff and noise versus the ones you can actually go and connect with people. Those deeper connections are going to be what accelerates your success in business. Now, let's not forget, we got to make sure at home, if you have kids, spouse, all of these things, start there. As you're doing your priorities, and I shared the RACE framework, make sure that is part of what you do and invest time in the people that matter the most. Last year, I think back to several times that I said no to things that career-wise, business-wise, maybe would have even made me more money. Those were things that I said, you know what? I need to be here. My kids have this tournament going on, or we have this trip planned, or we have this opportunity. And those are going to be things that you just need to decide early, communicate openly, and work through that. That's something I'm working on myself, just to balance all the things and opportunities that come. And the more success you have, the more people are going to want you involved in other things. And so you really need to make sure you're investing your time wisely in the relationships that are going to matter. I always use this. This is a good litmus test for you and kind of exercises. Are those relationships going to be 1 in 2 to 3 years that I believe are going to matter? And those are the ones that I gravitate towards and say yes. And then the others I have to really figure out, is that going to be something for the future or not? So I hope that helps you with that. The last one, building a competitive edge. Look, the name of the show, Competitive Edge, was no accident. Coming up with that, I believe we all have a performance edge, a competitive edge. You've either had it in periods of your life and lost it, or you've had it in periods of your life for longer seasons and you actually got better as you took that edge and you said, you know what, I did well here. I'm going to build on it and I'm going to go forward. And look, like we all fall down and fall back at times. I've yet to meet a top performer that just accelerated and did this the whole time. We all have this up, kind of down, plateau, maybe come up here, there, up. All of this is part of the journey, but your competitive edge matters. And when I share that, I want you to think about the last time you truly competed. When did you last compete? And I hope it wasn't years and years ago, but it is for some people. It's like they may even go back to their high school days. They may go back to college if they competed in sports. They may go back to their previous job or opportunity they were in, and they felt like they were actually competing. Maybe they did a race, like a Spartan race, or they ran a half marathon, or they did something. That exhilaration and that almost scared, frightened feeling of, man, I'm taking this on, this new challenge, and they competed. When is the last time you competed? You know, one of my friends has this compete every day, and Jake talks about this, and I've adopted this mindset as I believe God created us to compete every day. I actually believe God created us to go out and compete and test ourselves against the best version of who we can be in that moment, in that day, and in this season. And so I invite you to consider this as your competitive edge. You may have lost it and not feeling it. It's going to be forged through what we shared today, through the discipline, making sure you dial in your race framework, making sure you invest in relationships, making sure your health and fitness gives you the energy so you actually have the stamina and endurance to do all of the things that we talked about here. So these are my top 5. I would love to hear your feedback, as I wanted to drop these on you and share them with you because they're the things I'm looking at, but they're the anchor points I believe that they're traits of highly successful people and those that I want to aspire to be more like, people in my life that I look to and go, you're winning an area that I want to win in. That's how we develop our competitive edge. That's how we learn and compete. And just because wherever you are listening to this, you may not have started on track. I didn't start on track last year with my running goal whatsoever. The first quarter was horrible. End up blowing that away later in the year. That's because of the discipline and the things that I actually committed to. And so get back to basics, get back to the fundamentals, work through these 5. Let me know which one resonated with you the most, or maybe there's 2 for you, and what you're going to do with this. Share this with friends, as I believe this is going to be a show that impacts people, not just in the beginning of the year. It doesn't just get us the kickstart and the excitement and all of that motivation. This is going to be one we refer back to, and I know I will as well as I'm tracking my progress. I'm cheering for you. Thank you all to our listeners. You guys have been incredible helping spread the word of the show. We had a record year last year. This year, we're looking to set even more, just achievements. As we got in the top 2% last year, I want to be in the top 1%. I really believe some of the things I'm sharing, some of the conversations with the great guests we have need to be with more people and shared with more people. So let's get out there together, do something great, leverage that competitive edge, get out in the world and serve other people. Until the next time, this is Brian Covey. I'm signing off. See ya.